We are in that kind of weird part of the season here as we head into Silverstone for this episode. It's not the beginning of the season, but we're not necessarily into like the thick of it yet either. You know, I don't really consider us to be in the thick of it until we kind of like hit Hungary and Spa, the Netherlands kind of area. That's when you're kind of really into seeing what's going to happen, who's the top dogs here, who's going to be the guys fighting for this World Drivers' Championship, the constructors, etc. But these next few races are just kind of the weird part to me now. Hello everybody, welcome back here to some Formula 1 22 driver career mode, fresh off of our career best finish in our home Grand Prix in Canada, in Montreal, and it was P5. Absolutely fantastic. I could not ask for a better home Grand Prix in my rookie season for this Haas F1 team as well. That propelled us ahead of our teammate Mick Schumacher in the standings. Should see something come up here in the pre-race of a little bit of a comparison between himself and I from qualifying to the races. We've been starting to beat Schumacher consistently in the races, and we are trying to get to Ferrari next season. If not Ferrari, hopefully another team steals us that's going to be in competitive form to go for a championship next season, but you never know. We still got to impress. We're not impressing enough yet to get a ride that's going to be a top tier ride. We could be impressing enough to get into a car that's better than Haas, but maybe not a top 3 team. Nonetheless, here in Silverstone, a track that I enjoy driving a lot more in this 2022 F1 car versus 2021 and before. I was never a fan of this circuit before, but for whatever reason, with this car, with this game, I have actually enjoyed driving this track quite a bit here. So I feel like we're going to gel pretty well with the circuit this weekend as we're headed towards qualifying. Now, qualifying is an interesting one. It should be dry all Q1, but it's going to probably rain maybe in Q2 or Q3, but we don't know when. So that's, of course, kind of the question. When is it going to rain? You're going to probably try to be getting out on the track in Q2 as soon as possible because that rain could be lurking. However, I do have the fish helmet in case that happens, so that should make us automatically better. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out the hard way, I'm sure. But nonetheless, here in Q1, I was hoping that we could make it into Q2 on one attempt because we have actually made some more upgrades to the car coming into this weekend. We're back towards the top of the battle of the midfield once again, but I'm sure 1 week of missed upgrades will be rated back in the bottom 4 again. So it's back and forth every other episode, it feels like, you know, with the R&D and going into the next one. What do we have? Austria next, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be a very interesting Grand Prix. Usually there's a lot of insanity there, a lot of stupidity from the AI, to be honest. But we come through to cross the line with a fairly competitive lap here in Q1, and I called it right there. I said I'm not making another lap, and I would barely get into Q2. I mean, by a 1/10 of a second basically here. And Schumacher up there in P11, I honestly think I have more pace than Schumacher. I was just, I didn't put down the lap I needed to put down, and we start Q2 and the rain is falling. I got out, I would say, on the track about 30 seconds later than the competition, and then realized, uh-oh, the rain is coming down, and I don't know if the fish helmet here is necessarily going to save me. So it's going to be very difficult now because a lot of cars were already coming through to complete their laps, and I was like, this is not good. This is going to be a significant issue. By the end of the lap, I crossed the line, I crash across the line, but we are the slowest one here. I did try to go out on the intermediate tires to better my pace, but it just wasn't better because the soft tires made the difference in the first about half, 3/4 of the lap. So I couldn't do anything. I was trapped. P15. That's all I could do. That's where we start. It's over. We couldn't do anything. P15 is where we start for the British Grand Prix. Our teammate Schumacher does not advance as well. He is P11. So very rough, but we're going to head to the grid and hopefully move forward.
Great Britain then, one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every year of the Formula 1 World Championship. And that record extends further for today's Grand Prix. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of Silverstone Circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula 1. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Norris, Esteban Ocon, and Joe, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Gasly, and Mick Schumacher, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, and Ricciardo, Golden Boy, Albon, Sebastian Vettel, and Nicholas Latifi. Bottas. And Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Who could have predicted this? It's a medium to hard compound tire strategy. Let's get ready for the formation lap and hopefully move forward.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. But the question I'm asking is which teams have got it right, which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Well, everyone, I think we have way more pace than P15 in the car. Just qualifying Q2 with the rain didn't work out, so let's go prove it. So there you hear myself on the radio to the team, and like I said, you know, I believe we have a points contending car here today. In Britain, it's just Q2 didn't quite work out the way that we would have liked it to work out. So nonetheless, I think Schumacher and myself have good pace as we get ready to go lights out here in Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton, actually, watch out for him. In his home Grand Prix, is up there in the mix as well. The Ferraris are looking pretty good as we are lights. So we're underway in Silverstone. It's a great start for the Ferrari as we head down towards turn one, and this is where you gotta watch the two Mercedes going side by side, wheel to wheel. Russell, Hamilton, don't forget it's home Grand Prix for both of them. They're gonna continue wheel to wheel here through the first few corners, and if you are of course a Ferrari in front of the field, you're absolutely loving that. And Carlos Sainz looking for his first win in Formula One, trying to run away with the lead here immediately now, as you can see some side to side, side by side, wheel to wheel battles throughout this grid. There's Mick Schumacher going at it with Yuki Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso as well into the mix, and Schumacher overdrives the corner, and now the three wide briefly there. Tsunoda's going to slip through. Here goes Alonso up the inside now of Tsunoda, so Schumacher gives up two positions. He's got Leclerc all over the back of him, who's got Gasly fighting alongside the Monegasque driver. Can Gasly complete this pass here on the Ferrari down towards the right-hander? This is the corner, of course, that's got some history over the last few years, but you can see Leclerc is able to hold on to the position now, but Gasly not quite done yet. He tried to take another look, but certainly is not going to be able to make it happen now, as you can see some wheel-to-wheel in the background as well. That's Lance Stroll. Actually, somebody just lost a winglet, and it looks like, I actually have no idea, it might have been a Williams if I'm not mistaken. Here you see some side-by-side, and more than side-by-side, Esteban Ocon forces a three wide with Lando Norris and Verstappen into the right-hander. Very Ocon kind of move right there, and certainly didn't quite work out for Lando Norris, who sends it up the outside nearly into the back of Verstappen. I think he went off track even to make that happen. Sainz leads the opening lap over Russell and Hamilton. Ocon in fourth. Now you see the wheel-to-wheel battle now between Lando Norris and his good friend of Max Verstappen now, and you can see that Norris runs Verstappen nearly a little bit wide, a little bit of contact, but Verstappen's the one that comes out on top of that battle. Well, what an opening lap here in Silverstone. I myself settled into P15, trying to run down Alex Albon, so we didn't lose anything, we didn't gain anything on the start. Sergio Perez really struggling, by the way, here as we come through to lap 4, and you can see him battling with Albon and a Williams. That's how you know he's struggling. He's battling with a Williams right now, and he's about to be battling with me. I'm going to send it up the inside here, but unfortunately just can't get quite get that power down, so we stay in behind Perez for now. Sebastian Vettel and his teammate of Lance Stroll just behind myself, but Perez would get past Albon, and then I would actually be next in line to tackle that one. So with the DRS, look at the difference there in speed in the straight line. We power by Alex Albon, and now it's game on. Okay, we made a pass finally. It took us 5 laps, but let's continue to make that a consistent thing. Again, up the inside of Perez, who's continuing to struggle to move forward, and I'm not going to just sit around at this point and let a car that's way faster than me just stay in front of me when there's a golden opportunity to pass him. So here we are, wheel to wheel with Perez. Now we got the slipstream from Zhou Guanyu, a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner, but we get ahead and now focus in on getting to Zhou. And sure enough, here we are later on lap 6 now. DRS again and powering by up into P12, and we are getting into the groove of things now, and there is some pace in this car and it is showing. But I think we're faster overall than Mick Schumacher this weekend, and they're going to try and go 3 wide briefly. Him, Leclerc, Gasly. I'm going to be able to hopefully pass Gasly, or at least send one up the inside here into the right-hander. Yes, we will. And now just one car between myself and Schumacher. Hopefully none here if we complete this pass on Gasly. Now around the outside, doing the same thing on him that we did to his sister teammate of Sergio Perez now, as we're going to be able to pass him and move up into P11. Now Schumacher was about to fall backwards to myself, and you see him getting closer and closer to my front wing as we continue to see on the track map Sainz leads over Russell and Hamilton here on lap 8 as we were slowly getting close to pit stops. But here we are with the DRS. No DRS for Schumacher. It's an easy pass. We've had some battles with Schumacher this season. They've all been very, very difficult battles. This one wasn't much at all. Now focus in on just kind of pushing towards the pit stop because I'm not going to go run down Leclerc. And actually a bit of a moment right there. Schumacher had fallen down a few spots, by the way, behind Gasly, Perez, Zhou Guanyu as well. And actually my moment though allows me to fall in behind Pierre Gasly, but this fight, it's far from over. Here we are up the inside of Gasly. We had a bit of a run-in with Pierre in Canada where he ran me off circuit in the chicane. I got an illegal overtake, wasn't happy about that, did the same thing to him. We're nearly running into each other again now, but Perez, Zhou, they're both into the mix here of this battle, but I do not want to give it up to Pierre Gasly. A warning for exceeding track limits, but we're going to fight back up the inside. DRS open. We should complete the pass here into the left-hander. We sail it off in there so hard, though, that we're going to run wide off the circuit. Now Gasly back alongside. He goes wide. Perez is now going to get alongside him on the exit of the right sweeping carousel. They're going to be wheel to wheel down the straightaway, but Perez is going to be, of course, the one with that Red Bull power that can just pull ahead of that AlphaTauri. Some really good racing so far here in Britain. Absolutely love it. But now you can see lap 12. Here goes Perez up my inside. Not much I can do right there. Trying to fight him, but he is going to get ahead. Now, just before that happened, through the same section, here it was getting interesting for the lead. George Russell now up the inside of Carlos Sainz for the lead of the Grand Prix. Maybe a little bit of contact right there between the two drivers. They continue through the right sweeper, and here comes Lewis Hamilton kind of getting into the mix as well. You can see him lurking in the background, but he's now within DRS range. I would not count him out because these two, I think they are about to go side by side into Cobbs. Here they go now, side by side, a little bit of contact again. Doesn't look like anybody's picked up damage by Hamilton's right here now within a car length of both of them. Who's gonna lift? Who's gonna back out? No one. And there you see the contact, and Russell loses his end plate on the right side. Damage there. He's gonna have to pit in this lap for a new front wing, but I don't think he's done fighting yet. Here he goes back at Carlos Sainz here, wheel to wheel. I'm sure George Russell at this point fuming with Sainz. Both these drivers fighting for their first wins in Formula 1, and Russell misses the apex with the damage. Hamilton passes him, and now Russell is going to follow Hamilton into the pits. Lewis Hamilton's coming into the pit lane and is now forcing his teammate to wait behind him and absolutely ruin George Russell's race essentially because he had to wait several seconds, then he had to replace the front wing. Everybody was now flooding into the pit lane within the next couple of laps, including myself, but an absolute downfall within, what, half a lap for George Russell. Here I am for the hard compound tire. We would come out just barely in front of Pierre Gasly, and unfortunately though, Gasly, he would actually pass me with the DRS. Go wide though. This fight with Gasly is not over. More contact actually between himself and I. Things are getting a little bit ugly between myself and Pierre Gasly all of a sudden ever since our issues in Canada, which didn't seem like much, but clearly it's turning into something here. We're gonna fight back though alongside with the DRS and hopefully put this fight to an end, at least for today, in Britain, and focus in on, hey, if you want to go at me in Austria, bring it on, game on. As long as we keep it clean, I am down to fight you every day because I love going wheel to wheel here in F1 22 with the AI. But you can see we actually lost a spot to Zhou Guanyu throughout the whole pit cycle. We did stay ahead of Schumacher, and I should mention Gasly actually had to do another pit stop. He picked up wing damage with Mick Schumacher here, and George Russell picked up more wing damage fighting Max Verstappen. So you saw Verstappen miss the apex. Russell was back in for a new new front wing, so his bad race has gone even worse, and now the battle for the lead was heating up again with 10 laps to go. Here's Lewis Hamilton to the left side of Carlos Sainz. We've seen what Sainz is willing to do against the Mercedes to try and get his first win in Formula 1 here today, and well, we're seeing it again. He is not giving Hamilton much room to work with at all, but Hamilton has the advantage here as they head down into the left-hander through the chicane, and Sainz still not giving up at all. You gotta respect the drive from the Spaniard here as Hamilton looks to win in his home Grand Prix. It's still not over. Drag racing here down into turn 1 through the right-hander. Sainz half a car length. Hamilton fights back, and this time it's gonna be over. He gets clear, but Sainz, I don't know if he's done yet. No, he is not. He sends it up the inside again, but there it is. The battle is over. Hamilton hangs on and takes the lead, and then a few moments prior to this, we actually see a spin from Esteban Ocon, a little 360 spin, and continue on. He did give up a handful of positions, however, unfortunately none to me, so we were still P11, but here we are now within DRS range of Zhou Guanyu, and we are gonna easily breeze by him just like we did earlier in the Grand Prix. Now into the top 10, 1 point to our name. Schumacher currently down in P12, and we'll see if we can run down Lando Norris before this race is over, because we were absolutely flying. This is, I feel like, the best pace we have set all season long. We were just genuinely really quick, in 2 seconds a gap to Lando Norris, but it was quickly coming down a second and a half here on lap 23, approaching just the final 3 laps of this Grand Prix, and then we come through to 2 laps ago, and actually Gasly retires out of the session. He had a mechanical failure, but you can see within DRS range now of Lando Norris. Couldn't make a move here because of the yellow flags from Pierre Gasly, so it's going to come down to 1 final lap with an opportunity to pass Lando Norris and move up into 9th place. Here we are on this final lap now, trying to run him down and stay within the DRS. Lewis Hamilton, however, coming through to win his 2nd race of the season. He won in Monaco. He wins his home Grand Prix here in Britain, continues to insert himself into the championship picture. Fernando Alonso on the podium here today now. What a day for Fernando, and here we are with the DRS, a massive run on North, swing to the right-hand side, and we are going to complete the pass here, hopefully into the right-hander. Not even a contest, up into P9 over Lando Norris, and we will absolutely take that. We just got to get through the chicane without any issues here through the penultimate corner, not the penultimate corner quite yet, now the penultimate corner here now as we head through to the line. P9, we will absolutely take that here in Silverstone. Very happy with that, and Lewis Hamilton, like I said, brings himself into the mix for this championship battle after a rough start to the season. 2 DNFs with mechanical failures. It is not over. Fernando Alonso, driver of the day. Let's head to the podium celebrations.
Here we are then, a fantastic British Grand Prix, and what a performance it was from our race winners today. What do you think it was today, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso on the podium together. Carlos Sainz so close to his first win in Formula 1, almost like how he did it in real life in 2022 would have been at Silverstone. Unfortunately, he will have to wait a little bit longer, and, well, Ferrari will have to wait a little bit longer for their first win in the 2022 car. You know, with the storyline, they haven't won since 2020. It has been a while for Ferrari. So actually, did they win in 2020? I don't think they did. 2019 would have been their last win, actually, wouldn't it? I think it was it with Sebastian Vettel in Singapore? I can't remember. It's been so long now, but you see the finishing order on your screen. We'll check the point standings, and although Lewis Hamilton's been chipping in at Max Verstappen's lead, Verstappen still has a 63-point lead because Hamilton has so many points to make up. That is going to, however, wrap it up for this episode. We continue to now put some points between myself and Schumacher, which is great, and I will see you all in the next one, where hopefully we continue to do the same thing. Have a great day, everybody.